Hi everyone, and welcome to my first knitting podcast. My name is Allison. I go by Asaki Knits online. Today I have finished objects, works in progress, and some acquisitions to share with you. So let's get started with what I finished recently. First, I'll start with the finished objects. This summer, instead of making summer knits, I focused pretty much exclusively on accessories because I wanted to start building my accessories wardrobe for this winter, because last winter I didn't have any hand knits to wear. I was wearing only store-bought accessories and I felt really silly for not having stuff prepared. So first I made these, what are these called again? So first I made these penny gloves. This is a pattern by Petite Knit, and I made them in Malabrigo Arroyo Valentina. So I have some more of that yarn here. So the gloves are really nice. It's a fine gauge and the pattern is super easy to follow. I think you could honestly skip the pattern and just use a free pattern or figure it out yourself too. It is pretty simple, but this is going to be a nice wardrobe staple for me this winter. And then a work in progress I have is I'm making a matching Musselburgh hat. This is a pattern by Isolda. And this pattern is really interesting because you actually knit double the length of the finished objects, and this opposite end is going to fold internally to make like a double layered beanie. So I've made one of these before and I gifted it to my dad, and just a word of warning, it takes a really long time because you're making it double the length that you would normally. And especially if you're making it in a fine gauge, like I'm working with this fingering weight yarn, it takes a long time. And if you don't want to be in a rush, like I would start this weeks ahead of when you want to wear it. This is about 2 weeks of work for me, but I've been working on other stuff in between as well. So I'll have a matching set in this color, and this is one of my favorite colors, like this light dusty pink. Another finished object I have to show you is my mix sweater. So this is actually a pattern that I designed myself, and it's my first garment pattern. So it was inspired by my interest in learning new cables. So this was a challenge to me. I wrote all the charts myself, tried and tested combinations of cables that I thought looked good. Let me try this on for you guys. So it has a really nice oversized kind of fit, and one of the features that I like the most is, I don't know if you could see, the seam on the back where you pick up stitches for the shoulders is also a cable. So that little twist there is a 1x1 twist. And then I also spent a lot of time making sure the cables line up for the front and back, so instructions for that are also included in the pattern. It is called the Mick sweater because my grandma, her name is Mickey, or Mick for short. She taught me how to knit as a child, so this is my homage to her. I think about her pretty much every time I knit, so it felt appropriate to name my first pattern after her. So those were my finished objects. Now getting into my active whips. I have 3 sweaters and 2 accessories, and I already shared 1 accessory. Let's do the other accessory. So on my Instagram recently, I shared that I'm getting super into reclaiming yarn from thrift store sweaters. So this yarn I reclaimed actually from a shawl that my friend found for me at the thrift store. And I got 135 grams of this super fine cashmere. It's really luxurious and it's this bright, Christmassy kind of red. It does have like a blue undertone, which I like. It has a more cool undertone. And with this, I'm making the Oslo hat. So how the Oslo hat, and this is a pattern by Petite Knit. I'm holding it with 3 strands because the strands are so fine. And how the Oslo hat is constructed is first you cast on the widest number of stitches, like around your brim. And you just knit in a tube for a long time, and then once you get to a certain length, you'll knit together with the cast on edge, and that will become your brim. So I'm almost at that point now. I do like my beanies with like a very wide brim, and I like it not to be too fitted. So I'm following the Oslo hat pattern, but making adjustments because the gauge is finer than the Oslo hat. But this will be a really nice beanie to wear at Christmas time, and I think I'm going to have quite a bit of leftover yarn because I did the math the other day, and I've used only 30 grams of yarn, and I have 135, so only a quarter of the way through so far. I think I might make a matching set of gloves or mittens to go with it. Or just another beanie, because my mom helped me take this apart. She spent days with me. This is before I had a ball winder, so we were winding everything by hand. My mom spent a lot of time unwinding the shawl with me and organizing it into nice, neat balls. I did eventually buy a ball winder, and that's how I got them neater. But I would make her a beanie in this yarn as well. If there's enough yarn, I'll make us matching beanies. So my next work in progress is the wishbone sweater, and this is a pattern by Kuda Fakika. I'm making the size large. It's only available in 4 sizes, I believe, or 5 sizes. And I'm making the size large / extra large because I wanted it to be roomy and luxurious, and I didn't want it fitted at all around the yoke. I'm hoping this gives me plenty of positive ease. So it's knit with, you start from the mock neck, and there's an option to do it with short rows, so you'll notice that the front here is lower than the back, which is nice because with a turtleneck, I don't want it up touching my chin too much, so hopefully this is a comfortable fit. So I did the short row option, and I'm loving how it looks, but this is definitely a pattern that is, for me at least, this is not a process knit. Like, I'm not enjoying the process. This is more of a product knit. Like, I'm anxiously awaiting or excitedly awaiting to be able to wear this in colder weather. And I love how it looks. I think this is really innovative, the way she designed this. One thing I didn't notice before I bought the pattern is this is actually half twisted rib. So not only is it cabled, the knit stitches are twisted. So let me show you what that looks like. And that's how you really get these defined ridges. What this means for me is that it's a lot of tension on my hands, and I'm a very tight knitter. So I've been having some hand pain where I knit this. I just have to take a lot of breaks. Although I'm almost at the point where I'm about to get in the round, and I think that will be very motivating because the front panel and the back panel are worked flat. So that means that on the back side, you're purling through the back loop, and on the right side, you're knitting through the back loop. I much prefer knitting through the back loop than purling. For some reason, it's just faster and easier for me. But yeah, this is a beautiful one. I'm excited to wear. It's going well. Just, I had no idea what I was in for when I started it. Okay, 2 more. This is a design I am working on for my boyfriend. I'm designing him this cardigan collared sweater, or collared cardigan. And this was inspired by a store-bought sweater, so I'll make sure to include a picture of that here. But this is all just trial and error. I've been testing out different texture patterns, trying to get close to that original texture in that store-bought sweater. And then to get this effect of the color, I'm actually using 2 yarns held together. And I bought these yarn cones from Cone and Fiber. So those look like this. So this white yarn is a fingering weight merino yarn. And this blue one is a fingering weight. It's 75% cashmere, 25% merino. Now, I will say I didn't really notice before that this yarn has a really loose twist, and this one as well held together, it still feels really thin, and I'm working on a 4.5 millimeter needle. So it gives the fabric is very lightweight. It's very thin and airy, which wasn't my original intention, but I'm kind of thinking of this as a summer cardigan, and I'm probably going to knit him a heavier weight version because the intention was for it to be a little bit more more woolly and thicker. So from afar, I feel like you wouldn't really know how thin this is, but it's really obvious when I'll show you. Like I feel like this folds down really small. I'm not used to in a garment, especially of this size, but yeah, the fabric is just really thin and light. I don't want to unravel it though. I feel like maybe if it was a different yarn and I had an idea for a different project, I would unravel it and just use the yarn for something else. So that way I could make this garment like of the intended nature. But I don't have any other plans for this yarn. I feel like I bought it so specifically to make this color variant. So I'm just going to keep going and take it for what it is. This is a light cardigan, and he'll be getting a heavier weight cardigan soon. But I'm really enjoying it. The one thing I don't like about the collar, and it's my first time doing a folded collar like this, I don't like how the collar kind of, oh, right here. I don't like how it curves. I don't like how this edge curves like this. I want this to be a straighter edge. So I think when all is said and done, I'm probably going to redo the collar, try to get it more like my vision. But for now, we start the sleeves, and yeah, my plan for this is to do both of the sleeves, then start attacking the body, the collar, and the button band again. And last but not least, I have another design of mine, but this is the one that is already out. This is the mix sweater, and this is a second sample that I'm making for my parents. So this one in gray is in size 3. So this is my size. This one I'm making for my parents is a size 8. So it's kind of nice to be able to hit both ends of the size range to experience that myself, making something outside of what I'm used to making. And it's going really well. It obviously takes longer to make a larger size. I'm at the point where I just got the body in the round. I'm kind of thinking of doing the collar soon because I always find it motivating to have the collar done so we can kind of envision what the final piece is going to look like. This one I'm making in Cascade 220 Superwash Merino. It's my first time working with this yarn. In all honesty, I didn't make a gauge swatch. So this one is knit in Cascade 220, the non-superwash version. And then this one I'm making in Cascade 220 Superwash. And between these two, I was too lazy to gauge swatch, so we'll hope that this isn't going to grow like crazy after blocking. Probably do a controlled block and really be mindful of not stretching it. And last but not least, I'll talk about my latest yarn acquisitions. So I got really obsessed with taking apart sweaters from the thrift store recently, and this is a beautiful 100% cashmere sweater that I recently unraveled. So how I like to do it is I take a razor blade and I take apart all the seams on the sweater first, and then once I have it in panels, I'll wash it, let it air dry, and then take it apart. So that way I find that the easiest point to wash the garment or wash the yarn. So I got a lot of this light gray, this beautiful cashmere. It's super soft. I think I want to make a hood out of this. Something like the Sophie hood, but not the Sophie hood. I want to experiment with an all-over stockinette hood instead of a garter hood. And then another exciting acquisition is I found this cashmere hoodie at my thrift store, and I knew it was going to be a challenge because it was zippered, but I couldn't pass it up because it was an extra large. And how often do you find an extra large cashmere sweater? It's rare. At the thrift store, I will tend to find a lot of mostly small cashmere sweaters, some medium. So extra large is like a special treat. But here I have this beautiful dark gray cashmere. Again, I did the same technique. I took it apart in panels and then I washed it and then I unraveled it once it air dried. This one I think I want to use to make, I don't know, I really want to make a sweater, but I worry that there's not going to be enough because these strands are quite thin, so I'm going to have to use multiple strands. So I have to be mindful of how much surface area I can get if I'm using multiple strands. I might play it safe and make a vest instead because that's more of a sure thing instead of a whole sweater. And with that, that concludes my first knitting podcast. Please come say hi on Instagram and like, comment, subscribe if you like this, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!